Car Guy Channel. The Car Guy Channel. My name is Mike Hennessy. This show is all about cars and all four car guys. Get yourself a cold beer. Get yourself a cold beer, guys, because our show is... We are smoking! When people build this stuff, they build a lot of junk sometimes. You guys want me to be honest with you on this show?
Personality and car man of the decade. Here's Mike Hennessy.
$500. The only thing wrong with this car is the loose nut behind the wheel, but we're going to get that fixed. 18.5, 18.5.
I'm Mike Hennessy, and you're watching the Car Guy Channel. I have an auto repair shop. I've been in the business for over 30 years. You name it, we got it, we built it, we've done it, we do it. We love this car stuff, and I hope you guys do too. We're going to have a lot of fun, got a lot of stuff cooking, so just stay tuned.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on, join me, hon. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes 1. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We gonna rock, rock, rock to broad daylight. We gonna rock around the clock tonight.
Welcome to the Car Guy Channel. Like I say it all the time, we have a fantastic show. But we got a fantastic show. What I got is something way different this time for our show today. I'm actually going to be taking 15 cars out of my collection to the Mecum Auction. Yes, 15 cars. I'm actually doing some weeding out the shop, getting rid of some cars, making some change. Just like people make changes in their life, I want to change some of my cars. Some of these things sit around an awful lot. Brake pedals go to the floor, no gasoline, battery's dead, and I know you're sitting on the couch going, I know just what he's talking about. And that's what happens. And it's time to move some of these along to a new home and a new buyer. Mecum has been fantastic. I've been working with a guy named Brad over there at Mecum. Phone calls back and forth, pictures and stuff. And it's really the right time to go ahead and do that. But again, I'm looking for some new stuff. So I'm not afraid to buy something that's pretty interesting. Give me a call, send me pictures, some project stuff, or some interesting projects we finished, bought and half undone. So go ahead and send those out. Get them to me when you can. And there's a couple cars that's not in this building here. We got the 46 Chevy. We got the 1940 Plymouth. We got the Jaguar XJS with an LT1 Corvette engine. Car's fantastic. Mercedes-Benz 380 SL that I've had in my collection for many, many years. It's just pretty cool because it's black on black. So we got a lot of stuff cooking. Sit down, get yourself a cold one, because this is one heck of a show. Well, this is inside the warehouse where I keep a lot of my cars. I actually store in a couple other places, but I never let anybody in here, like I said at the beginning of the show. So really kind of I want to show you a little bit of what's going on in here and the cars for the Mecum Auction. This happens to be a 62 Corvette that I've had for a while. And by the way, all the cars going to be selling at Mecum are going to be no reserve. They've been great to work with, and one of my good buddies over there named Brad, he has been fantastic helping me to get all the cars in line and to go together. Danny K that works for him, he's getting them all clean, polished, and serviced and stuff. But this happens to be a car that's going to go through no reserve, 1962 Corvette. It's a very, very nice car and a beautiful driver. The original color of this car is called Fawn Beige. Kind of a very unusual, rare color. There weren't a lot of them. And I think they look spectacular. It's a little bit on the different side, kind of a goldish, brownish type tint, but the chrome on the car is absolutely beautiful all the way around, and the fit is really good. And that's really kind of why I got it. I usually like a lot of good stuff. This happens to be what I call some of the good stuff on the car. It has hubcaps all the way around. Being a 62, if anybody watched the movie My Cousin Vinny, was a really great spot, really, with Melissa Torme, and she made a great statement when she was on the stand. And of course, they asked her what the timing was on a Chevrolet 327 in a 57 Chevy. Well, she was 100% correct, because 57 Chevys did not have a 327. 1962 was the very first year of a Chevrolet 327 engine. That was a real big deal for 62. And they're just kind of the last year of the twin headlight cars, last year of the solid axles. There's a lot to be said about the car. Let's check out under the hood. I got to show it to you. Under the hood of a Corvette is usually what they're really all about. These are right here. This is kind of a sterile car, single 4-barrel carburetor. I really like the chrome shielding over the distributor. And the reason why they had that, for people who don't know, is really for the radio. The cars that had radio deletes did not have radios, did not have this. This was actually to shield the radio from the distributor doing what the distributor does. Is what it does is electronics impulse from the points going to the coil and would disturb the radio. That was me more on the technical side, but they really look cool. These are fantastic. Air cleaner, very simple underneath the hood on it. Now, this particular car is not a number matching car. So you NCRS buffs and all, you probably could tell, I don't know, take a little bit to tell. This was done really right. The original motor in the car did have a problem. There were issues pretty much before I purchased the car. So when it came with the little Chevy 350 into it, we kind of dialed it in, and the car runs extremely nice. We didn't go no wild cam or anything like that. We made this so it's a nice, great daily driver. But you can just tell the whole car looks really clean inside out. You can tell by the inside, these fenders, they look really good. 1962 had a single piston, operational, 4-wheel drum brakes. Now, disc brakes did not come into Corvette until 1965. So you get a 63 and a 64. They were still drum brakes, but they were independent suspension. So again, I was talking about this car being the last year of the straight axle, very simple driving car. The steering can be a little bit clumsy on them, as they can be, but they're just a beautiful car to drive, and I really love the car. Check out this engine compartment. It's really clean. What I like about 62s quite a bit is they're not a two-tone colored car. And the earlier cars that actually had the Cove started in 1956, and of course all the way to 61. But a 62, they were just kind of a little bit of a different car. And so the movie, the TV show called Route 66, they actually used a 62 Corvette in the show. But they're not two-tone. They have these vents in the sides. It's a great look for the car. And as it goes down, they have the spears up here on the top of the fenders, which they put that on all the cars all the way from 1958 all the way to 1962. Not to tell you all the technical things about them, but you can tell I'm excited about the car. I do like the car. I love driving it. And it's one of the few cars that I got that Susan actually enjoys riding in this car. It's really pretty cool. And as it goes down the way, it still has the same look as the cars in the 50s. The fawn beige color on the outside of the car, to me, is outstanding. It's a light tint of metal flake in the color. Out in the sunlight, it's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. But I think the color choice of the inside being red is fantastic with fawn beige. This is kind of a Roman red color interior. The correct steering wheel is a flat steering wheel, you know, the race car look of those earlier years. That's what they put into them. And it has the spreckle, the salt and pepper type carpeting in the car. Of course, it has a little bit of black in there with the red. And the carpets in the car come out really, really nice. The tack is up in the center of here. Just the dash and the inside of the car. It just has a beautiful look to it. I think this is a great plus, and what engineering they really had back in the 50s coming into the 60s is how you hide the convertible top. Here's a little deck lid here, and the convertible top is hidden in the backside. This happens to be a cloth top, which I really kind of enjoy on the car. I think it's a great look on it, but it's a great place to hide the convertible top. One of the great features on these cars all the way up until 62 is that they have a trunk. This is the last year model car that they actually have an actual lid trunk. Take a look inside. Pretty tight for a set of golf clubs or whatever, but it holds a racquetball bag and, of course, the car cover. So it is kind of neat. Great plus with this car is it has both tops. It has, of course, convertible top, and it has the hard top. The condition of this hard top is absolutely flawless. The back window on the bottom they're all plexiglass back windows. This right here is clear as glass, which is beautiful. Nice inside right here on the headliner. All the chrome all the way around on this top is absolutely spectacular. We made a point to it because I think it just adds so much value and quality to the car. And again, I don't know what number this is going to be at, but it's actually going through on Friday. It's one of the premier cars. We're going to show you another one in a few minutes that are actually the premier cars that are actually they call the catalog cars. These are some of the special interest cars that they're doing some specials on at the show. Dana Mecum goes ahead and picks out a small handful of cars of all the cars that actually go through the Mecum auction. This happens to be one of them, and of course we're going to show you a little MG that I think you're going to be pretty impressed with. And if you've seen one, I'd like to know about it. You know, I'm so excited to show everybody on the show my car collection and try to at least show you at least a portion of it. What you're seeing is roughly about a third of the cars that I have. And one of them is probably the rarest of them all. Might not be the most valuable, but it's one of the rarest cars. And if you've seen one, I'd like to know about it because there's only a few in the country, let alone out there in the big bad world of how many are out. This car happens to be called a YT. It's an MG YT. The paint on the car is this dark green. I know the camera's going to pick up on that, but a YT MG is a very unique car. They were designed really to hold 4 people. They had another car called a Magnet that was a completely different style, more like a small little sedan, like a Mercedes sedan of some time. But the YT was a very, very rare car, let alone the elite would really buy them because of how they look and really what they are. Doctors, this is more of a very, very car for the attorneys. It was a hybrid car out of the MGs and really was not set up really for the United States. They were most of them in Europe. Then when they got kind of popular and a few dealers decided they can handle it, that's how they did it. But those are some of the stories. But let's take a look at the car. This right here happens to be an MG YT, and of course, this is a 1949. I want you to look at it. I don't think I could say too much about this car, but it is fantastic. These MG motors, they don't have big horsepower or anything like that. They're all standard transmissions, of course. But this motor here is just barely hits 60 horsepower, and it covers really quite a bit of stuff. The restoration work done on this car here was done about 25 to 30 years ago when I bought a collection of MGs, and I've always been very proud to have it and been able to buy them from Dave Morris. And we actually did a full TV special on a lot of the MGs that we purchased a while back. But I'll tell you, when you go ahead and start working with these cars, the appreciation and the work that was done, we finally got them all running. We got them gassed up. We have batteries, and the brakes are all juiced and all working well. Some of the chrome redone. And, of course, Danny just took care of a fantastic job of detailing and keeping them looking nice. But right here, this is a pretty sterile car. Underneath the hood is really nice and clean. This type of air cleaner set up the manifold, extremely rare parts, and they're all good, and they're all on the car. This is going to be one of the premier cars for Friday at Mecum Auction, and no reserve. The inside of these is absolutely class all the way. You would think you're with a Rolls-Royce or some of the hybrid cars of the earlier days. This is beautiful inside. Stell's going to get a good shot of how that dash is, and it's just the quality level of everything is just unbelievable, unbelievable. Check out these seats, all leather seats. They kind of have the seat backs the way they're curved. Believe it or not, you wouldn't believe you're sitting in an MG. You know, back then, they didn't really think a lot about roll-up windows in MG. So the car Magnet actually had roll-up windows. But when you get into an MG YT touring car like this here, it's the convertible top. And the work they put into these sides that they have on for the sliders, there's all 4 of them. And to restore a couple of these, I don't want to tell you what the bill was. I wasn't very happy about it, but it is what it is. And as car collectors, we cannot complain about that. So anybody at home, if your wives are watching the show, it is what it is, and you got an end result at the end of the day. So we got all these things here on the car with the convertible top, hub caps, tires are all up, British green. I'm hoping this car does well. Watch it on TV on Mecum. National Parts Warehouse has merged with Winchester Auto Parts. Yes, they both have merged into a huge warehouse. I can't even tell you how large this place is. Now, you guys have mixed with Speed Warehouse. Is that correct? Tell me how that works.
That's correct. We have a joint venture with Speed Warehouse right now, and they're allowing us to operate our business within their warehouse on a wholesale basis. And this way we get 80,000 square feet of parts from the warehouse to the store, and it's expedited. Our turnaround time on these is less than an hour to get parts from the warehouse to the store. So if you're a retail customer, you get your parts right away. If you're a wholesale customer, it's delivered to your door instantly.
So my customer, a guy at your shop, Mr., people I think be watching this, a guy walks to the counter, Mr. Joe Blow, he orders that part. You guys can get that here in the Bay Area because you are joined up. Absolutely. So our end user, like guys like myself, the guy at home, everybody wins and benefits from this, don't they?
Absolutely. This is the new landscape for auto parts now. If people want tangible goods in hand, and this is the way we provide it. This is the service that Winchester puts out for our customer.
Your staff is kind of what makes Winchester Auto Parts work. And I'm not saying that because I buy my parts from you, but I don't know of too many auto parts stores that actually have educated, talented guys who knows what they're doing than Winchester Auto Parts. All your stores do. I bought some guys here. Well, I think the public needs to know, but you guys train your guys. You just don't get a guy that just says, I know how to change oil, and you put him behind the counter.
From car guy to car guy, you know, you hit the nail on the head. Our employees are all car guys. They didn't just come to do a job. They came here because they're car guys, and this is their passion, this is their interest, this is what they do. And when you walk up to the counter at a Winchester store or you call them on the phone, those are professionals answering your questions. And these guys have been doing it for years. They know the answers, and if they don't have the answer, they know how to find that answer for you.
Get out in that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Get out in that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Well, roll my breakfast, 'cause I'm a hungry man. I said shake, rattle and roll. I said shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Well, you never do nothing to say the
Out of all the sports cars in the 50s, T-Bird is one of the high-regarded cars. They came with automatics. They came with stick shifts. They came with V8s. Some had 2.4s. Some had a supercharger. They had all kinds of things. This happens to be a 55 T-Bird. It's a beautiful red on the car. And this car here was converted to 12 volts. All 55 cars were actually a 6-volt car. This car has been converted to 12 volts to make it a little bit more user-friendly for what we have going on today. Other than you would not know the difference, but it's all stock other than that. The white wall tires, the nice red color on the car, the chrome on it is great. Now this right here is going to go through on a Thursday. This is going to go through again at a no reserve. This car will be gone. Whatever the price pulls, that's what it's going to pull. And again, like I was saying, I'm going to be selling a lot of my cars, and that's really what all this is about. Convertible top, nice good stainless all the way around. Stell's going to show you the interior. For a 55 T-Bird, this is an excellent example of a really good car. No rust, solid as they get, and I think the new owner is going to be one happy guy, and if it's a gal gets it, it's going to be one happy lady. So I really think they're going to be real happy with the car all the way around. Doors lock, open and close, car shifts going down the road. It's just one of those cars, it's just a pleasure to drive. Suzanne Summers drove a 1957 T-Bird with the porthole in the window. They had that car go all through American Graffiti. Very popular car in its day, and that's what 50s were about. These are pretty neat. Check this car here out. You know, one thing T-Bird had over Corvette in its day is that they had options, different types of options that the other sports cars did not have, like power steering, power brakes, power seats. They had a handful of stuff. Corvette actually had a power top. It worked okay, but that's about one of the few what you call options that they really had other than above the performance stuff. And then T-Bird, of course, offered the 2.4s and a few other type of things. This is a real simple car, has a 312 engine. Now again, with you collectors out there, you T-Bird guys, how do you tell the difference between a 312 versus a 292 Ford engine? It's very difficult, and it's not easy to do. And you have to give me a call, shoot me an email, and I'll give you the technicality of actually how to tell. But this happens to be in the paperwork. We did check it. It happens to be a 312 car. And of course, has the power steering. This car has power brakes. And this is a great driving car, like I was saying earlier, but very clean under the hood. It could probably be a little bit better. But again, this is a no reserve car, selling at Mecum on Thursday. There's so many touches in the 50s, and I think T-Bird really captured quite a bit of them. And I still is going to watch my finger here. We're going to go to where the exhaust comes out of the car. I mean, it's actually integrated for the bumper. It's a special whole complete bezel for it, and having rear exhaust coming out is just great. And again, as I mentioned on the Corvette, you know, the cars have a trunk. Well, T-Bird always had a trunk in their cars, and from 1955 to 1957, they called the small birds. This happens to have a trunk on it, and the gas cap is kind of hidden back in here, which is kind of neat. It's just attention to detail that people did back then on building a car. The cost of restoring this car versus what one cost back in the 50s, what a crazy number of difference that is. But these are all steel. They were a pretty sturdy car. But with the rear exhaust, the way the fins come in the back, this really is a pretty neat piece. What you're looking here is a 1952 MG MGTD. MGTD, now this here happens to be an MGTD Mark II. Now a Mark II is a little bit of a special edition car. It's almost like ordering the 1957 Corvette with fuel injection. These were the performance versions of the cars. And on the MG stuff, I like things a little bit of twist. I like things a little bit unique or a little bit more special about them. And that's part of the reason why I'm going to be changing a lot of my collection. I'm out there looking for some project stuff. You got something out there? Call me. I like to look at it. We're making more room at my shop is kind of what we're doing here, and that's why selling them. Just move the collection on, have a little bit of fun. The way the auctions are doing, I think cars are doing really pretty well. I want to get back and doing that. It's a lot more fun. This car happens to be dark. It's going to go through again on Thursday, but being a Mark II, this is not a wire wheel car. The performance cars were all steel wheel cars, especially when they did the Mark IIs. You could put wires on them if that's what you preferred, but that's really what this car here is all about. I'm going to open up the hood and show you a few things under the hood that really makes it a Mark II. I left a lot of this car here undetailed for a reason, because this right here is exactly what it is. And a Mark II car actually has two fuel pumps. Take my finger over here and you got two fuel pumps, one for each side for the carburetors. Now a standard car will only have one fuel pump, but a Mark II will have two, and they have a little bit more horsepower, and they have one extra knee action hydraulic shock. And there's a few other little things to make a Mark II what they are, but these are some of the neat pieces. And to an MG buff, just like you Chevy guys, Ford guys, Chrysler guys, all the unique stuff out there, a Mark II is really kind of top of the food chain for all these MGs. Kind of a neat piece. Check this out. Very, very cool. Some neat features about this car. It has all new side curtains. I'm going to get all wrapped up in the box just because we're ready to take this thing to an auction. I'd pull them out for you, but we're here to go ahead and show you a really good handful of the cars and what really the meat and potatoes about them are. And Estelle's going to get a shot of the dash. I keep saying that, just like on the YT and the other ones. The dash is just, I just think it's just beautiful. They're really pretty cool. Inside is wings right here, convertible top, beautiful shape. There's something about this car, I really like it, because I think this right here is a car that you can actually use it and drive it. You know, it's not heavy show. It's very, take it to any event and be very proud of what you got. Check out the inside. I know you car guys and car gals can understand the statement I'm going to make. Some cars look, you know, really good coming. Some cars look really good going. And MG happens to be one of those cars that look good both directions. The back end of the car, this is where the gas tank mounts in the back, and they have the spare tire comes back here. Of course, a luggage rack, all the chrome. But some of the problems we really had on these cars, we had to remove all the gas tanks on all of them, have them all boiled out, had them all specially done, acid etched inside. Some of the tanks were lined, and that was a lot of work to do to get these things here back running on the road. But that's some of the things why I am selling a lot of my collections, because these things sit a lot. Guys and gals, your cars at home, fire these things up, push the brake pedal a few times. Remember, the shelf life of gas is not that long, and when the gas sat in these cars for such a long time, it damaged a lot of the tanks. We had to do a lot of repairs. Save yourself some money. Take my advice. Run it through and keep them clean. Same with the brakes and stuff. Check this out. Pretty cool car. Now, this car here happens to be a 1929 Model A, which I don't think anybody's really shocked on seeing it. This is one of the oldest cars, not the oldest car, it's the car I've had the longest in my collection. How's that? Not the oldest car. I have a 1903, but this right here is just something about it I've always loved. I love the two-tone colors, the black fenders, and we got kind of an off-green, bluish-green type tint here. This is a great car. The hood ornament in the car is an original. It's not a reproduction of any type. It's a wire wheel car, Model A. This is going through on Thursday, and again, this is going to be a no reserve car. Brad set me up with all no reserve and all these. Ugo horn, side mount tire. When we get to the back of the car, you're going to see it even has a rear mount tire. That was kind of a pretty cool option to go ahead and get for these, because believe it or not, they did have flats. Check it out. I should have done this car first, but I did not. It's a 1949 MG TC. Remember, there was a TD. This is a TC. This is one of my very favorite cars out of all of them. Might not be the most valuable, but might be pretty close. It had a frame-off restoration done about 25 years ago by a doctor who retired, and he made this his passion in life to make this car absolutely mint perfect. Full, complete frame-off restoration. There's not an ounce of rust anywhere. The paint on the car is absolutely flawless, and because of the way the fenders come to a little point here, these wire wheels are just beautiful on the car. Everything about it is great. I don't know how much really I can really talk about it. All 1949 cars are all, and for the MGTCs, were all right-hand drive before they came to the States. And that's the way these things were built. I want you to look the car over. Not too much I can say because it's just a beautiful restoration. I think it's great. We showed you a couple MGs today. This has been in my collection for a while, and I really, out of any car, if I had to hold a car back, I'd consider this. The problem is I'm 6 foot. I'm 239 pounds. Inside this MG, it just doesn't fit like I used to, but I want you to check out the car. Here's a car I think is going to do fantastic on Thursday. I always say this on the show. I don't want to bore you with the statement, a car is only original once. The charm about this one here, this is an unrestored Survivor. This happens to be a 1950 MG TD. Really unique car because of the quality level of the car. This was in a museum for over 30 years, untouched, on blocks, never done anything with it. Again, this is one of the cars that go through the auction. It's a left-hand drive car, which meant that it was meant to go to America. It's really kind of cool. A lot of MGs really came to America, more so they really stayed in the UK. The popularity was so strong when a particular dealer decided to handle them. I want you to look this car here over. This is a Thursday car again. This is a no reserve car. This is a 1955 Packard, and there's a lot about this car I love. And I got it in kind of a trade deal, and that's the way the car business kind of works. Some cars you really like, and I really was excited about it when I got it. Had it sit for quite a few years, and again, that's really part of my dilemma here, guys and gals. And they've been sitting too long, and it's got to get a new home. I got to get some new different stuff, and just kind of changing things around, like some of you gals change your hairstyle. I want to change some of my cars. Susan didn't really say much about it, but she goes, "That's a beautiful car." Check this out. You're going to love this 55 Packard. Chrome is beautiful. I have never had this car on the show before. Never. I've never actually talked about it much. I've sealed it. It was a car originally built for a huge Autorama many years ago. And there's a lot of things that were unfinished about it. And I have bought unfinished projects and tried to turn them into a something. This car nickname and the show name on the car is called Studelac. When you check under the hood, I think you're going to put 2 and 2 together with a 472 Cadillac engine, turbo 400 transmission. I want you to look at this car. It's candy apple red. It has air ride suspension on it, and there was just so much work done on it. When I did receive the car, we redid a handful of things, and it's time to really go on with some bigger and better cars and stuff. But kind of a tough one to release because I know the quality and the time and the efforts it took on this. And again, like all the cars you're seeing on the show today, they're all going to be no reserve cars. And I know I've been saying it, Bob, because I have to sell myself on that feature, but it's really pretty cool. Brad's been great help for working with me, and I think we're going to do okay with it. This is a neat car. I want you to look at it. Check it out. How do you get 15 cars in a 30-minute program on the Car Guy channel? That's going to be a record for us, covering them all. And I really appreciate everybody watching and enjoying the car stuff, and a lot of the cards and letters we get, emails, tweets, whatever you call it. I get all sorts of interesting information, and people asking some pretty good questions about their cars and what they need to get done. Hennessy's Automotive, we've got new projects coming up. We're making so many changes. That's why we're making some room for new stuff and some neat stuff. So, hey, hope to see you at the auction in Mecum. It's going to be in August, and it's going to be down in Monterey, and it's going to be a fantastic event, and all my cars are no reserve. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm going to bring Danny and Raul with me to help get these cars through the sale, so we should have a lot of fun. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.